I'm your host, Betsy, and this is my co-host, Christina, and we're here to have conversations with women from all over the big country about our faith and what it looks like to walk in the wilderness seasons of this world.
Y'all listen along for weekly encouragements and wisdom, and thank you for joining us on this wildly seen, totally loved podcast journey.
We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hey friends, Christina here. Betsy and I want to thank you for joining us on this journey of the wildly seen, totally loved podcast. Before we get started today, we just wanted to remind everyone that this ministry is supported by listeners like you. Would you be interested in partnering with us today? Wildly Seen, Totally Loved is offering sponsorship packages that will promote your business on our show and are also accepting donations. If you would like more information on sponsorships, please send us an email to wstlpod@gmail.com. Find our donation link and email address in the show notes below. Thanks again for listening, and we hope you enjoy this conversation just as much as we did.
Welcome to Wildly Seen, Totally Loved. We have a new episode here with you. Listen, we have an author, a published author here with us today. And so Malori Rogers is the author of A Stroke of Heaven, and we're going to be sharing more about this at the end of the episode, maybe where you can get it and how you can check in on the book. But today we just want to have a conversation with her, and we're going to let her introduce herself and see what she has to share with us today. So Malori, tell us.
Well, thank y'all so much for having me. It's such an honor. I guess a little bit about myself. I'm married to Tyler Rogers, and we have two little ones, a boy, McCrae, he's 4, and about to be 5, he says. And Roan is 2, almost 3. So both in November. So
that's awesome.
It's a fun
Those
fall.
are cute names.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tyler's in charge of the names. And I said, oh yeah, perfect.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So what do? You just stay home with I should not ever say just stay home with the boys, but.
No, McCrae, he's boy, but Roan is a little girl.
Okay, yes. I thought you had a girl, and then I was like, wait, maybe I missed that.
We met a girl, McCrae, and a boy, Roan. So I know it's funny, just little cowboy family. But yeah, yes, they keep me busy for sure.
Yeah,
but we have a lot of fun. Yes. Good.
And what does your husband do?
He is the foreman at a ranch in between Post and Jayton. And we just finished weaning, so we're all still catching up from rest, I feel like. But it's been a fun week, a fun fall. Yeah, so it's been so good.
Weaning's always a big season, and you just push through, and it's everybody's there, and
catching our breath. It's like, man, I miss the crew here. That was so fun. We'll do it again tomorrow.
For
but
sure.
It's good. It was a good Sunday, restful Sunday yesterday, so that was good.
Yeah, probably much needed.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us. Let's get some fun questions in here so we can get to know you a little better. What is your favorite daily item that you use? It can be, body, food, whatever. Anything you use daily that's your very favorite.
Probably I would say my pair of running shoes.
Oh, nice.
You're a runner.
I mean, yeah, well, just casually. That's my sanity, my little outlet in the mornings, just working out, just nothing crazy, but that keeps me kind of at homeostasis.
Yeah.
Besides my Bible, of course, but yeah, Bible and pair of running shoes.
What kind of running shoes
That's
do
what
you
I was
wear?
going to say.
I like to wear Brooks.
Nice.
That's
bounced around, but yeah. Brooks and Hoka's. I don't know. Wait, they're actually Hoka's right now. My last ones are Brooks. They're Hoka's.
I haven't tried the Hoka's, but I've always wanted to. Yeah,
yes,
they're good.
Yes,
I'm not really a runner. I'm more of a fast walker.
Hey,
but
that's harder.
That's what she says, and I'm like,
that's what I say. We walk Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays with another friend, a mutual friend. And so we've talked about that a lot. Like, it's almost harder to walk fast than it is just to hit a little jog.
And I disagree. I cannot breathe and run at the same time. I've tried. It doesn't work for me.
Well, you're tougher than.
So I love it. Okay, but let's talk about Hoka's for a minute, because I cannot get past the look of a Hoka.
There's no normal color. It's like, I'm glad we live in the middle of nowhere because nothing will match this. There's no clothes that will match this. So I'm glad it's only cows looking at me. So.
Yeah, there you go. I love that.
It's good.
I love it. But then again, Brooks, they're so basic. It's like my Brooks are black and white, and I'm like, well,
they're pretty basic too.
No color at all.
There's really no better looking shoe than a Nike. If I'm being honest, like if I just want a cute shoe, it's going to be a Nike. But
but then you'll be in physical therapy forever.
That is the truth. That is the truth. They're not a good running shoe. Absolutely. That's funny.
Interesting.
Okay. I know.
I was sitting here thinking, I don't know that I would go with Nike. But
For cuteness?
But I don't know. I guess I do. I have a couple pair of Nikes. So maybe I do typically go for a Nike. Yeah. For cuteness.
I mean,
I
because
did-
they've got all the different, they've got the casual, like the court style and
Yes.
the
Yeah.
Air Max and,
They do.
I recently found a really cute pair, and I only bought them because they were cute, of Skechers. I'm not a
Yes.
Sketcher person,
Mhm.
but
Oh,
they're
they've come a long way.
cute. And I'm like,
they have
okay.
come along.
Found
way,
them
but
at TJ
also-
Maxx on sale, and I was like,
Okay.
yes.
That's a win.
You know,
And
my
several
shirt-
people have told me, those are cute shoes. Thank you.
Okay,
Got
good.
them cheap,
Yeah.
TJ
You'll
Maxx.
have to show 'em to me. Show me. Teach me your style.
You know my rose-colored ones that I bought at TJ Maxx when we went
Yes.
that one time?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're Skechers too.
Are they?
Yeah, but also I feel like you have to be a certain age to wear Skechers. You know,
What-
and I think we're there.
I'm
just
offended.
saying. I don't know. I mean,
wow.
I'm just saying, like, it's interesting that we both got them in the last year and
Okay.
we're really close to 40. and
Calm
now
down.
all
I
these-
am
You are
40.
40. Mallory's got a few more years
Yeah, I
before
do,
she has
right.
to transfer to Skechers. For now, she's going to keep
No.
doing her cute thing.
No, it's not cute.
Okay, let's change the subject and get off of my age and my cute Skechers
Okay.
that teenagers would wear. Let me
Yeah.
just say
Well,
that.
we have to be honest that teenage style right now is not the best
It's
it's ever
not.
been.
It's really
yeah,
not.
They,
I don't know
they're
what
doing
they're
some
wearing.
things that I'm like, guys, it's not. It's
No.
not the
These
best.
clogs that my daughter has that
Mhm.
she wears, I'm like,
But
and then she
I
has,
have
and
the
you have
clogs.
some.
I got them,
Yeah.
and she complimented them, and you have not yet.
So I don't like them. I can't get on board. And now her and my college student daughter have these like ruffle socks that they wear with their
Yes.
tennis shoes and
Yes.
clogs. And I'm like,
What are we
is
doing?
that? That is, I don't even know what you're
Give it a year.
doing. Yeah, they're going to be like, why did I wear that? I'm like, I don't know, because I wouldn't have worn it.
Or
Ever.
you might have 'em.
I might. She said you might have them. You're right. I might have them. That
So,
too.
okay, I wasn't a fashion girl forever. Like, I wore jeans and a t-shirt, horrible hair, all the things. But in my older years, I have enjoyed like dressing up and looking nice. And so it's fun to get to come to a podcast and not be in mom clothes and, you know, that kind of thing. So what is your favorite place to shop and where do you fit in that realm of fashion?
Oh,
You look
man.
great, by the way.
Well, thank you. I'll
These jeans
definitely-
are super cute. I was
Yeah.
thinking that when you
Y'all-
sat down.
Y'all are very sweet. This is like I think I bought this probably last year, and my sister always says, "No, you should." She always sends me links to stuff because I would not like anytime I go to Lubbock and we're around there for a ball game or something. She's always like, "Okay, now let's not wear those again. Let me show you these." I'm like, okay, please teach me because I don't know.
That's
so
so funny.
I'm just definitely stay-at-home mom clothes right now.
Yeah.
But jeans are a definite dress up for me.
yeah, absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
fancy as it gets.
Yeah,
I love it.
same.
So fancy.
Okay, Mallory, let's talk. Who was high school Mallory? Where'd you go to school at? And what did you do as high school senior Mallory?
High school Mal. That was a busy woman, so she thought. I was 4-sport athlete. I did cross country, volleyball, basketball, and track at Friendship High School. It was back when that was a 4A. Now it's a huge 6A now. So
Wow.
I feel like that would probably not be possible now. Everybody's got to select one route and go play D1 in that route, you know, whatever. But yeah, I was just loved to be well-rounded. I loved school. I was so motivated as a student. I took a lot of pride in my grades, just not necessarily obsessing over grades, but I just did my best, and whatever grade it was, I was pleased with. I had kind of my core group of friends. We were, you know, on a Friday night, we would probably be ding dong ditching somebody, maybe that was more middle school, but we were just did football games, but went home to go to bed for volleyball the next morning. You know, never really too wild or crazy. We had fun leaving sardines on people's porches and ding dong ditching. Like that was
That's pretty clean
crazy
fun.
as
I like
it
it.
got. Yeah. But yeah, just feel like pretty average, busy high school student.
Yeah.
So you went to a pretty big school
Yes.
for
It was.
like, yeah.
At the
And what
time.
year did you graduate?
2013.
2013. Okay.
She's a
Okay. So
baby.
she's still
She's a
pretty
baby.
young.
Got a lot to learn.
I'm not going to tell you how old I was in 2013. Just kidding.
Oh my
I was
goodness.
10-year graduated in 2013. I'll tell you that much. So
Well, good.
And what was your home life like growing up in high
I
school?
feel like had the greatest parents in the world. My siblings and I have gotten closer as we've gotten older. My brother's 2 years younger than me. My sister 6 years younger. I think we never know the age exactly. We're just all close. Yeah, home life, we've always went on a family vacation every summer. It's not abnormal for us to just be playing games in the floor, card games on Friday night. We've always been involved in sports and never missed a siblings game, and always been each other's number one fans. And
That's cool.
yeah, I feel like so blessed by those home life roots. That's really anchored me in my faith also.
Did y'all grow up going to church and
Yes,
all
church
that.
going, youth group, church camps in the summer, all of us together, and feel like that is just, I didn't realize how much of a blessing that was and still is.
Yeah. Okay. And where did you say you went to high school? Friendship. And then we were talking before this, and you said you went to Lubbock Christian, LCU. Was that Lubbock Christian University?
Yes.
Okay. And so where did you meet your husband?
We actually met we went to the same church, but we met, high school and church, I guess. But
okay. So y'all went to high school together?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all go to college together?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
unintentionally,
cool.
though. We chatted about that the other day.
Yes. Yeah, that's
like
right.
They kind of were going to give each other space to do whatever they needed to do, and ended up at the same place, led by the Lord. Not
Oh,
really.
wow. That's cool.
Because he was at ACU, and we're kind of both gonna make the phone call of, I was gonna say, I think I'm choosing LCU, and he was at the same gonna say, hope you're not choosing ACU because I'm not gonna go there anymore. I'm gonna transfer to LCU. So it was just
so he's older than you. So he went to college before you?
Yes. So he was in school 1 year. Just one.
Okay.
One grade
well, he was one grade level older than you. Oh,
so
interesting. Cool.
Did you have a relationship? When did you come to know the Lord? Like, when did you ask Jesus into your heart, and what did that look like in your life?
I think I don't know what age I was baptized. It was at church camp one summer, by my dad.
Cool.
Maybe middle school. Yeah. 6th, 7th grade. But yeah, just always raised in a Christian home, and I've always just kind of my dad's motto, both led by my parents, of just get spiritual nourishment every day. So, as a busy student and athlete, my spiritual life was just kind of, how does that complement my sports? So it was like a game day Bible verse folder of, going to church camp in the summer. I was always typically the leader of a Bible study when it's off the court, and just so it was, my faith was very nurtured by my upbringing, and I'm so grateful for that, and it still has sustained me today.
That's cool. This is completely off the beaten path of our notes questions, so sorry.
I'm there.
Wow, now I lost it. Where was I going with that?
Oh, I'm so glad you had a moment like that, because I'm usually the one that does.
I'll be ready for mine.
Wait, you were saying you grew up
sports, faith,
based. Oh my goodness. What was it? I think it was there, this is what it was. Ding, ding. Light bulb. Was there a time when you came to the realization of, I can't live life based on my parents' faith, and I'm going to have my own faith? So where you kind of developed your own relationship with the Lord, and it wasn't more of like just you're living on your parents' faith because y'all go to church and you're spiritually kind of led and fed at home. So when did a time come when you realized that? And this could even lead into our next question of a wilderness season that you've been through, from high school senior Mallory to now, of like, when did you realize like, oh, I need my own relationship with the Lord? Or did that come early because you had that kind of leading?
Yeah, I would say that would be into the wilderness of, I thought I had my own faith, but also everything has been, I feel like I've had the most blessed life in the world. Like, I feel so unworthy of that. But when my faith was tested, I guess, was when I really had the choice of grasping it and clinging to it. And when I would have never thought I would have not chosen that, but the darkness is loud sometimes, and that Satan's voice is very sneaky and believable. And I can't believe that I would ever say that I almost believed it, but it's because he's so deceptive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And it's hard. So let's go into that. Let's go into your wilderness season, a time that the Lord met you, seen you, pulled you through, and showed up in ways that were just unexplainable.
okay, well, I'm going to have to rack my memory because a lot of people, I've just felt like I've never been through a storm before, like I was saying. But then it was my senior year of college at LCU. I didn't start out playing volleyball, but the volleyball team that year was short of body, and they just had a lot of injuries that year. And so the coach said, Tyler was playing basketball at the time, like I said. He was always around the gym, and we were close to the volleyball coach, or I'd gone to church, same church with her family. And so she felt comfortable enough to say, hey, Tyler, would you think Mal would practice with us? He said, yeah, ask her. And I was kind of the personality of, no, that wasn't the plan. Like I didn't pursue that. I wanted to just be a student now, and I'm going to just do my thing. Thanks for thinking of me, but I don't want to. So anyways, it was a God thing that the volleyball team just needed an extra practice body. And I said no so many times, but Tyler said, Mal, if they ask you, do it. So I said, if she asks one more time, I'll say yes. So she did. And I said yes to go into practice with the team. I was like, okay, I'll find my knee pads and ankle braces, I guess. I hung that up, but whatever. So I did it, and couple weeks, a month in, I got a jersey. And that was an honor. The girls were so sweet and including, and I felt so blessed and favored to have that opportunity because it was an opportunity, a door that appeared on my path that had I not walked through, I don't know that I would be here right now.
Yeah.
So God is so good. So getting to have the opportunity to be a college athlete, like I said, I came in with some college hours. So my senior year was my third year. We were in a non-conference game in Wichita Falls during conference play. So that's pretty, abnormal. That's not, not many coaches would just add that to the schedule.
Yeah.
But at a 6:30 on a Tuesday night, we were in Wichita Falls, about 10 miles from a neurosurgeon. And he was just finishing up a surgery day. And right down the road, we're at MSU playing a non-conference game. And I started the game, missed some really routine plays. I started out warming up, everything was fine. But, about 10 plays into the game, some of the girls were like, what's going on with Mal? I would let a ball drop beside me that I thought was for sure going out of bounds, and it would land right by my foot. And I was like, oh, this is embarrassing. What is going on? Like, I can't see. So I rotated out, and when I got in the front row, I had a sub because I just played back row. And so when I sat on the bench, my head was throbbing, and I had never felt that kind of pain before, and finally said, I got to go to the locker room. So I had an escort to the locker room. God thing that both my parents were there with my little sister. They always support all our games, but it was a school night on a Tuesday, and someone probably should have stayed home with my sister. She's a little seventh grader, but the two friends she was going to stay with were sick, so we ended up all going while my brother, he was in Oklahoma playing baseball. But so we were all together, and my mom walked into the locker room, which is not really a thing in college.
Yeah.
You don't do that. But that was a Holy Spirit moment of she walked in there, and, the trainer had me in there with the lights off, feet propped up. And that was my last waking moment. But then my mom, the story from here is kind of just as I've been told. My husband usually does this part. But my mom came in and said she's having an aneurysm. Mari, go get the car. That's my dad. And we got to take her to the hospital. So on his way to get the car, he was met by the soccer coach who said, hey, don't take her to the big hospital. Take her to that small, tiny one, the rural hospital called Kell West. Because the other one, I took a player there last month, and it took forever to get seen. There's no chance you'll get seen soon enough. And so he said, okay, thank you. And did that while the athletic director carried me to the car. He was met by my dad. Anyways, fast forward, I was in the back seat next to my little sister, wide-eyed little sister. Ended up being stiff, postured, vomit. My mom's jumping to the back seat to scoop vomit out of my mouth.
Wow.
The whole time she's saying, all right, come on. He had a police escort, so he could only go as fast as they would let him. And so I think that was a stressful 10 minutes. It might have seemed like an hour or two. The hospital staff was there waiting. Dr. Kamath said, let's get her into a CT scan, while my mom did all the paperwork, all that kind of stuff. And there's so many things.
Is Dr. Kamath
Dr. Kamath
is a
neurosurgeon who
yes.
happened to be at this tiny hospital in
Yes,
Wichita Falls.
in Wichita Falls.
Because he had a surgery there that day? Is that what, like, does he typically
Yes.
work at that hospital, or?
He does surgeries, I think, few days in the week, and then does clinic on the latter half of the week.
And he happened
to still be there, just, about to leave. And he was actually supposed to be in India at the time for his mom's birthday, or for his mom's hip surgery, and he ended up staying there. So just so many miracles. I don't want to minimize anything that God does, but so many details that God orchestrated. So he ended up, they cut my jersey, everything, took me into CT scan. He looked at the results and said, "This is a terminal condition. She's got 10 minutes, and I'm going to do my best, but no promises." So, that kind of sent my parents and, just texting everybody, prayer warriors, letting the team know type deal. I feel inadequate to explain that part, but that is not necessarily my story, but I just want to, like, God is good. And God had so many prayer warriors that were just met by, the team. Tyler had my husband Tyler. He had just finished an exhibition game starting the season. He was coming off a redshirt injury for basketball from an ankle surgery, and just played in his first game the night before. He scored like 20 points at Wayland, and he was jacked, best shape of his life. And he would just sit down to went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and he was about ready to eat some wings before my sister called and said, "Hey, Tyler, I think you need to come here." And so he could tell something was wrong. So anyways, he came down, and like I said, the waiting room was just flooded with people, of just prayer warriors. I mean, that's all. Anytime people would come and ask my parents, "What can we do?" Just pray. That's all we can do. And so I could imagine a long 4 to 6 hours of Dr. Kamath just practicing the same protocol he knew of getting the blood to stop for time and time again. And sometimes to tell this story, it just makes me think, if he was, I don't know anything about brain surgery, but if he was doing what he said, just the same techniques time and time again, what was it that God was waiting for to stop the bleed? Was it one person to pray? Was it one person to look to God? Because I don't know that anything was changing, but was it what was happening spiritually? And so I just feel honored that, like, God chose me to be under the knife.
Really interesting question.
That's a really beautiful perspective.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Listen, you can listen to Tyler's perspective of this on the Big Honker podcast that you guys did.
Yes,
it was the episode with Tyler Rogers and Mallory. So go look that up if you want to listen to his portion. And part of what he says is that he remembers getting to the hospital and he somehow went into a room by himself. And it was the first time he said he was the most physical fit that he had ever been. He was like, he could handle anything. He could handle any workout, all these things. But he broke in that moment and just met with the Lord, again, of just like, God, that only you can fix this. And so,
he's got a powerful perspective.
Yeah, it was very neat to hear that from him. And so even hearing you say, who knows what the Lord was doing in that time, like, he did it in your husband. He did it in, I'm sure so many people around.
That's so true.
So very cool.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Okay.
You're doing great. This is amazing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, so the doctor's repeatedly doing this procedure, trying to get the bleeding to stop, and then he gets it to stop. And where do we go from there?
So I guess just to hear them explain it. So Dr. Kamath came out of the kind of announced to everyone in the waiting room, which it sounded like there was a ton of people in there, just people coming from Lubbock, just, I don't know, so grateful. People were there for my family. But Dr. Kamath said, I've got the bleed to stop, but no promises. These next 24, 48 hours are very critical. We need to fly her to Dallas, but right now the weather's bad. We can't do a helicopter, some sort. We're going to have to do a small plane. So one person can go with her on the plane. And my dad my mom, I'm glad it was my dad because I know my mom gets so motion sickness, so she didn't want to cause a scene by that. So anyways, my dad got to board the plane with me and made it to Zell Lipsky in Dallas, which is a brain suite, basically. So they specialize in that. And I remember my dad saying he received whoever received me at Zell Lipshe said, what just happened at that hospital was not normal. Like, she just received the best care possible, and now she's in the best hands in the country for this. So, that's, and my dad, he's just known for saying, thank the Lord, like, thank you, Lord. And so that's like just one of many details. That's, like I said, I feel bad saying detail. That's huge.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lord. So basically at that time, I just can just thank the Lord and brag on my family, because here my dad is, watching his daughter. I've just seen pictures, but, my head's shaved there at Kel West, where there was a bunch of people in the waiting room. They said that, or Tyler, my family has said, whenever they rolled me through, all the team was there. Nobody got ice after the game. They all just came to the hospital. But so many people just saw me roll through, and that's the first time they saw me with my head shaved. Like, they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So they see Mal, who was just playing volleyball, best shape of my life, to being rolled through with, swollen blood everywhere, hair cut off, blood knotted in my hair on the rest of the hair. And just it just sounded like that was a real sobering moment of, whoa, what just happened?
Yeah.
But like I said, I got to Zell Lipshe in Dallas, and a bunch of people caravan there to just be with my family. I just, people stopped their jobs. They stopped school. Tyler, like I said, was in the best shape of his life, about to head to their first tournament that weekend in Colorado School of Mines. And I'm just thinking of him. I'm so proud of him. He did not want to go. He wanted to be done with basketball. He was ready to hang it up. But one of our mentors, a guy that married us, professor, amazing person, he said, Tyler, you're going to play in that game. Get out there and do it. I know you don't want to, but do it. And that was, he said, a lot more manly things than that, but that was good for him. And Tyler hadn't eaten in a week until he was able to come back to the hospital after he played there. I think he sounded like he was playing with a lot of emotion. He was playing with a lot of strength and, probably anger. I don't know. But he was doing the absolute best he could on the court. That was the only thing he could do, and he did it well. And then he came. It's powerful to hear him say this, because he came through after that tournament in the weekend, and people are around. I've got tubes hooked up. I hadn't opened my eyes yet. I don't think I hadn't. They had just taken the tube out whenever he got to see me that day. So I hadn't talked. He had no clue if I would remember him.
Yeah.
So to hear him say, how powerful of a moment that was for him. Was just special to hear him tell that part of the story. And like I said, his story is big time. It's in the book. But he was just there. Just the faithfulness of a boyfriend really convicts me as a wife now to be like, wow, Tyler, I want to be like him. So, that. And so I guess I was in ICU for, I think, 10 days, and then a regular room for a week or so. And I was able to go to therapy in Dallas. So it was really intensive therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. Just doing little things like putting beads on this, like Christmas time crafts, and stuff that would maybe take y'all 30 seconds would take me 10 minutes. I had to regain strength in my right hand. I couldn't use my right arm. My dad said in the hospital that he said, I felt mean trying to make you use your right side, but one of the doctors there said, you always sit on her right side, make her use that right hand. If she doesn't use it, she's going to lose it. And so he always sat there. Everyone always tried to encourage me to use that to gain neuron function and strength and make those connections of neural pathways and stuff. And so thankful they had some tough love there to do that, because it feels so good now to hold my baby in my right arm like that. Sometimes if I just am having a bad day, I'll just do that. And that's all.
Wow.
And that's enough,
Yeah. So I don't know where I was going.
I love all of it.
Me
Y'all
too.
keep guiding me in the right direction. I don't know where I am.
I've thought about this question since you've been telling your story, but I didn't want to interrupt. Your mom, you said your mom walked into the locker room and she knew that you were having an aneurysm. Is she a nurse?
No.
Or
she is amazing. She's one of those people. She didn't graduate college, and I'm so glad she didn't, because she has 30 certifications that she doesn't have any initials beside her name except for Mama. And she is so good. She could be a hairstylist, a doctor, a nurse, anything. And she's so good she just knows that kind of stuff. I don't know.
It was just her Holy Spirit, like,
yes, Holy
she
Spirit.
has such a good relationship with the Lord that the
yeah.
Holy Spirit gave her that intuition
Yeah,
of like,
she is a huge inspiration to be a mom.
aneurysm.
Yeah, like she just knew. I mean, she's coming from that happened, and then 30 minutes later, someone's giving her a bag of my hair that they shaved just in case it's needed for a funeral. They told her, you know, so it's like,
oh my gosh,
she's Superwoman.
Wow, we need
So-
her to come
Yes.
too.
Yes.
She's awesome.
So, also, I heard in the other podcast that you guys did that your dad was praying for other families in the waiting room while you were in ICU.
Yes.
I don't know if that was at Lipsy or if that was at Kel West, but anyways, somebody, I guess Tyler had mentioned, like, he walked out and saw your dad praying with families, and he was like, I don't know if I could do that if that were my daughter in those shoes. I'm like, how cool that your dad had such a faith that he was willing to look outside himself in that moment of his daughter being in crisis and still reach out to families to serve them and lift them up. And so obviously, like, what a testament that I'm sitting here like, I want to be that kind of family.
Yeah.
Like, I want my girls to have that opportunity, you know? And so that's encouraging enough in its own. But then I want you to shift a little bit and talk to us about, so that's all what went down. And yes, it was a long road of recovery. And so how long were you in therapy? Like, how long?
So I had my stroke on November 10th, and then that was to stop the bleed, necessarily, that surgery. And so they had to remove my skull. They put it in my stomach. So it was Humpty Dumpty. We named my skull Solomon because I was like, when that gets back in there, I'm going to be smart again, be wise. Didn't happen, but it's okay. So then that next surgery to put my skull back together again was January 6th, so 2 months. Yeah.
And then from January 6th, what did recovery look like?
January 6th, I got to go home January 10th. So that was straight 2 months. Then I started neurotherapy in Lubbock. And I had grown up being an athlete. I loved sports sciences. I was going to shadow at a neuro facility next. And, you know, literally it was on my planner to make that phone call that week. And I got some experience hours as a patient. So that was a perspective shift. But so that was kind of the same thing, speech, physical therapy, and occupational therapy. And once I got, you know, I didn't really think about it. I didn't have a memory of being a volleyball player necessarily at that time, but, you know, my peers have always been students, my team, everything. And now my friends were in wheelchairs or had crutches, and, you know, but I didn't think that, like, I didn't have that, but I was like, yeah, this is my people. Like, I just felt at home. And that was just, I don't know, it was cool to think about that in retrospect. But that was when I kind of started, I guess, since I was in Lubbock, and it's almost like a double-edged sword because I was like unconscious, but that's a blessing because I didn't realize how bad a shape I was in. Yeah. But then as you get better, it's like, okay, I want to get out of here. Like, I got to, like, get back in school. Yeah. But I'll never forget being told in occupational therapy when I was, you know, we're doing like kindergarten worksheets of stuff that's like just baby steps, getting confidence back. And I remember working so hard on this worksheet that was about Joe, Sally, and Sam doing all these logic things. And I was like, yes, I nailed that. And I was like, I kind of felt confident for the first time. And I turned it in to my therapist, and she said, good job, Mallory. That was a 3rd grade level. And, like, she was happy. And I was like, oh, like, I didn't have a memory, but, like, oh, that stuck. It still sticks. Yeah. And I don't know. That was a moment where I'm thankful there were treadmills there because I've never been an angry person, but I've always ran or been so busy to just let it out in a healthy way. And so I think I just, like, got up and got on the treadmill because I was like, I don't even know what to do to say that. That was made me so mad. But
so then so you were actively in classes when this happened, and then during therapy you went back and finished your courses, right? What did that look like?
Well, so part of my therapy is I kind of, I guess, continue to get better. I don't know, better is funny word in that sense, but I remember getting so excited when I got to start working for speech therapy on my class work, which is also kind of comical because they wanted me to start with my hardest class. So for the fall semester, it happened November 10th. So I basically, so thankful. I had done the bulk of my senior research project. I just hadn't presented yet. And I basically finished all my course load except for all the finals.
Yeah.
So that was nice to be able to, just kind of have those targets. But they said, let's start with your hardest class first. And I was like, okay, physics.
Yeah.
Hard when my brain worked, and definitely hard now without over half my neurons, but we can do it. So they wanted me to start there, and I just, chipped away. I would basically, it started with just redoing all my notes. Let's just relearn everything. And it was interesting because I kind of, I remembered that. I remembered that stuff. And I had taken an anatomy test that day that I had my stroke. And so I never miss a chance to blame that professor for causing my stroke, of course. Don't take his class. He will give you a brain bleed. But so I started with physics. And I don't know, I was getting so impatient. It was taking forever. That just gives me anxiety a little bit thinking about it. But I just kept trying to chip away. And like I said, it'd be a full day's work. And it'd be 6 hours of therapy a day with an hour for lunch break. And so 7-hour day. And I would just, if that progress, it was so slow, but it's like it had to be done. There's no shortcuts because I got to relearn all this and I got to take that test. So I was so impatient, but I was also so motivated because I just wanted to be normal again. Yeah. I wanted to be around, I don't know, just get back to what I felt like was productive. But it was just there's no fast forward button there. And everybody's going to go through that at some point. It may look different, but you just got to grit your teeth and go through it. And anyways, that kind of being a patient for so long in that therapy, I don't know, it's kind of a blur of a story. But so in April is when I was really starting to get frustrated. That was, month 3 or 4 of therapy. And I was excited. My mom told me that we're going to have a team scavenger hunt with the volleyball team. And I was like, oh, cool. At that time, I knew I was Malori. I didn't really think about being a volleyball player before, but I would know that if someone told me, but I never thought about it. And so it's like, oh, I would love to be with the girls again. Yeah, let's go, whatever they're doing, I want to hang out with them. I'll try to get a nap so I don't have a headache, but I want to go hang out with them that night. So I was so pumped to go hang out with them. And little did I know, it was a team scavenger hunt to Tyler was doing a surprise proposal. So that scavenger hunt was just buying time of everybody to get set up, and he proposed on the LCU court that we play on and played on, and very special. I mean, couldn't have been more perfect, beautiful. He had light chandeliers. It was all black with lit up lights, and I was just, all the girls dropped me off to the training room, and they said, go first, Mel. I said, okay. And so I went in, and I was like, what in the world? It's beautiful. He was at half court with a spotlight, ready to propose. I was so shocked. I could not believe it. And at that moment, I just, I guess I was just, the anxiety was building up of, I just want to be normal again. That moment, I remember a voice in my head that said, the Pray for Malori era is over. So,
oh my gosh.
And so basically the most beautiful moment, but that is when my storm started. And so that was when, that's what happens when you think, basically giving God a fist pump. Okay, I got it from here. God, thank you. let me run now. Oh. And so that was when, when I thought, that's over. I'm normal and I'm going to be good now. That is just when the darkness was in all over me. And like I said, just truly felt like Satan was in every cell of my body at that point. I didn't know whenever you couldn't sleep at night and when you tossed and turned, I didn't know that was called anxiety. Yeah. Everything has always been good. So yeah, that was
how did you navigate that?
It was so confusing because I'm so grateful for the community we had in Lubbock. that it's such a big, small town, or a small, big town, whatever you want to look like. Like, my stroke story was all over the news. They had done like a week, like, front page of the paper, I think. I don't know. So, like, I had so much support through what everyone thought was the storm, which was the storm for my family. I will not minimize that. They're amazing. But, the storm started for me with that anxiety of, okay, Tyler was so faithful, perfect boyfriend, and now he wants to be my husband. Like, that is such an honor. But,
what were the lies that were going through your mind? Like, what was the dark thoughts that were going through your mind? You don't have to share that if you don't want to.
Freedom and humility. I'm all about being transparent. Just basically, like, you can't be in a neuro rehab or you're getting ready for a wedding. Like, you have to be normal to get married. You have to have it together. We cannot be on third grade papers anymore. Let's be a wife, So it was I guess, with my deficits, which I feel bad saying that because I'm so thankful. I have lots of loose screws. Don't look too close. But I could be in a wheelchair. I could be.
Yeah, there's so many other things.
Blind fully. I couldn't talk. I was millimeters, if that. Like, the blood could have been. I should not be here.
Yeah. But what's the survival rate on someone who has an aneurysm?
It can be so varied. Like, you could have it's normal for just one half of your body. So the stroke was on my left side. I was paralyzed on my right side. I can't see past midline to my right, but I can drive. I'm so thankful, but I wasn't released to drive, so whenever I was engaged, I didn't have a license. So it's like, I can't do anything. Like, Mom, what do I do here? And it's like, I never really dreamed of being married. Like, I knew I wanted to marry Tyler someday, but I never had like a fantasy wedding. I had no clue how any of that worked. So I was like, I don't know. That was very difficult. But the survival rate, I know that, I think it's less than 1% people have an AVM. A lot of people can have them, arm, shoulder, anywhere, and they can just never rupture. So it's kind of just, I don't know. Mine was in my brain, and it was the perfect storm, So I don't really know the total statistics.
No, you're good. So from here, gosh. So when did you see that dark season start to lift? What did that part look like? How did you navigate the anxiety and getting married and shifting from the mental load that you had experienced to some freedom?
Yeah, that's a good question. I remember I never, like I said, never experienced any sort of depression, anxiety, any of that before. But I do remember, so like it was very dark, and I just felt, I guess, so long guilty to feel that, because I knew I should just be thankful that I was alive, and I was thankful that a man was so faithful to not necessarily marry me, but to marry me like that.
Yeah.
With fake hair, with in that condition. But I thought maybe after we got married it would get better. But then he saw me, I was at LCU, not involved in anything anymore. I had made such a scene on campus. I was almost ashamed to go on campus because I was that girl, even though everyone was so full of love and support there. So I was...
What a lie from the enemy.
I know.
Yeah.
What an attack.
Yeah, it was like my physical self was like, I mean, I guess that was a big deal to have a stroke, but I didn't feel any of that. Like while needles were poking me, I felt like God just had me in his hands while the waves crashed against his hands. And I didn't feel even splashed. I was just so spared, and I'm so grateful for that. But if Satan's arrows were visible, I mean, I would have been black and blue. And so it was like, do I even admit that? Or do I just sleep that down? But anyways, how it started to lighten was in church one day, it wasn't necessarily anything in the sermon. I was just grateful to be in a safe place in church. But it got me so Tyler told me that he had a wedding ring whenever I was in the hospital before my second surgery.
Yeah.
And, what faith to buy a wedding ring for someone that has not made it through half the battle yet. So I don't ever want to minimize that. But, he told me that, and that was part of the lie of the enemy of, what is he waiting on? I would wake up every day of like, I wonder if he's going to ask me. No, I'm not worth it. Just look in the mirror. That's why he's not.
Wow.
That's why he hadn't asked you. Look what your hair, you're in therapy. You can't even drive. You can't be a wife. So, all of that is just where there's good, there's evil. And you just have to, cling to what is good. But, so that was
were you keeping all of this negativity, all of these lies, were you keeping that within for a little while, or were you were weren't speaking that out to anybody? Because
it is a miracle to be alive. So I didn't want to admit anything that I was like not thankful for it, but it's like I think I'm actually not okay. So and I don't even remember the question.
So no, you did great, you answered it. So I was just thinking, a pastor friend of ours said, after you do a big event or after you've been preparing or leading or whatever, and you complete the task, then there's usually like an attack that follows. Mm-hmm. And he has noticed that in his career of, ministering. Career is not the right word, but in his life of ministry, he's just noticed that he'll do something and then he'll feel an attack coming. And so he knows kind of to brace for it. But I think that that's probably true here in this situation, because the Lord moved in a massive way. And what was happening there spiritually, like you called out earlier, the enemy was well aware. Yes. And so of course there would be lies. Of course there would be an attack. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm not surprised. And then Christina brought up a great point, learning that we can't keep things in, and that when we expose darkness, the darkness has to flee. And that was part of, you getting free again, just for sure, admitting it's okay for me to say this, even though this is a miracle, there's also attack here. And
I'm also a human, and I felt this hardship.
So you were saying you were
at church.
You were at church in the piece of just being at church.
Well, it was just, I'm not wise enough to know the right terms for this, and I'm not claiming to be, any higher spiritually than anyone in the world. But I felt in church, God just that was me knowing that Tyler had a ring. The symbolism of that is, is Christ coming back for us. Mm-hmm. I wasn't getting ready. I was not preparing myself to be a bride. I just kept getting disappointed that he hadn't proposed yet. Had I been getting ready and believing him and having faith that, I can do that, there would have been no anxiety. But I was so caught off guard. I lost faith. I fell off the wagon. I didn't feel connected to him anymore, because I was just, if he wasn't going to ask me.
You didn't feel connected to Tyler anymore.
Yeah, I was just well, I don't want to wait that long. I'm going to lose faith and just do your thing. I don't want to mess up your basketball journey any more than I already have, which I didn't. He didn't walk away from his basketball journey. He powered through and, just dunks on people. He's so cool. Yeah. Dunks on people. He's so strong and tough and powerful. But so it's I was just in such a dark spot. But it was once I was able to link the spiritual connection, it's that was it. That was why it had to happen. I lost so much sleep just thinking about knowing he had a ring, but that was a key detail of linking the spiritual aspect to it, because that is why it happened. I don't think that God brings destruction on anybody. He allows it. He's obviously the sovereign head in charge. It's not Satan. Yeah. But God allowed Satan to hurt me, and he allowed bad things to happen, but the story's not over yet. There's every story has an adversity to overcome. And so, I would not choose to go back there, but now that I just have that perspective, and God has taught me so much through his vessels of, spiritual gifts and how to use story to just be broken but overcome it. It's I'm so thankful that it happened, and he gave me the tools I need, the people. He put the right people in place to teach me that there is purpose in that horror, and there's victory in it. And
victory. I was going there. I'm there is still victory.
Yes.
In in all of it.
Yeah, and we kind of clung to the phrase, there's just triumph and tragedy. And, like I said, I wouldn't want to necessarily start over, but
Yeah.
I had never been through anything before,
Mhm.
and I am so glad that I have. And, that's not going to be it.
Yeah.
We're not to heaven yet. And,
Yep.
a lot of people think, oh, bad things don't happen to good people, like bad things don't happen to Christians. If God's real, he wouldn't allow that. No, that's not true. We're not in heaven yet.
Yeah,
And so
that's it.
we're on earth, but we have every source and resource. We have the
Mhm.
word. Like,
Yeah.
we've got everything we need to know him, and we got to just take the first step of faith to put into action,
Mhm.
and sounds easy. But
Yeah.
Did you
not
have a specific scripture that you clung to through all of this?
I not necessarily a specific one, but I remember being wheeled to my second brain surgery. My preacher was there to be with my family. A lot of people from church came, and he said, Mallory, what did you do before game days? And I said, again, I didn't have any memory, but I knew my Bible verses. Like,
That's awesome.
It's just, I don't know, that's cool. God is
Yeah.
good.
That's, yep.
And I knew
what it's
the
for.
folder of the 10 Bible verses I had that I read before game days. And I told him that, and he said, okay, I want you to do that before surgery. I was like, oh, okay, good one.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I did, and just brought that comfort that only the Lord can do. And now, fast forward, the coolest part is those are the scriptures my kids know. That's
That's
what
cool.
they say to me. So that's just fun.
Yeah.
There's always more.
There's always more with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, I'm holding this book in my hand, and I'm wondering, when did this part of the process start? When did you start writing this book? And what did that look like?
So I was
What prompted you to do that?
my husband made me.
Those darn husbands.
Yes. No, we were I was able to get a job doing some online billing for a physical therapy company, which was such a blessing to be able to do remotely. They showed me a lot of grace to do that, in the condition I was in. I know there was a long line of people that were more equipped than that, but because I was able to do some billing computer work, the gears were starting to turn spiritually in a way that, okay, there's purpose here. Let's finish the race. I'm going to have to grit my teeth for a little while to take some more blows, but I want to finish this.
Yeah.
I want this happen. It's got to bring some good out. Everybody else was already good because, Mal's awake. Yeah. She's okay. But it's like, no, there's a last leg that only I know, only I know about, because God only told me, and I've got to share why it all happened. And so basically Tyler had advised me to start a blog, because I just kind of would journal, try a healthy way to write thoughts down was journaling. And then he taught me how to start a blog. He researched it, did all that, whatever, free blog. And I did 4 of them. And the 5th one turned out to be 300 pages that's bound in that book. So
Wow.
It's, I don't know, just like one little step, tiny little step of faith and obedience after another, just kind of the snowball got bigger as the longer I pushed it. So I don't know, it's kind of that phrase I heard my preacher at church say, sometimes you don't know the command until after you've obeyed it, like we're talking about, and that is definitely one of those things. So yeah, I would never thought I would have written a book or wanted to. I mean, it was also just a middle of the night thing. I still, my memory's gotten so much better, but I can't quote you a sentence from there. I know what it's about, but and I claim to have written it, and like I did it, but I'm not ashamed of it, but I don't remember. And so, and I
led by the Lord.
Like, all led by the Lord. Less of him, none of me.
More of him.
Less
of
more
you,
of
or
him,
whatever.
less of me. That's right. So.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to read it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In fact, so we have I have a friend that knew about you, and I think this was on her table one day, the one we met out there at the coffee shop.
Okay.
When she said I read this book, I was like, I think I remember that being at her house.
Aww.
And I glanced at it, but didn't, I mean, I just like glanced at it. That was it. And then it all came full circle as you were talking and stuff. I was like, oh my gosh, how cool that was like already in play, and I didn't even realize it. So cool.
Yes, God is good.
Okay, is there anything else about your wilderness season that you want to touch on? You've done a beautiful job, and I feel like we've gotten a really full picture of a lot of it. And so I know it's a lot. You could probably talk for 3 more hours about specific things through it all. So I don't want to cut anything short for you, but is there anything else you want to add? And if not, we'll just kind of keep going through some cool follow-up questions.
I feel like just for anyone that's in a wilderness season, or that there's one coming, just like don't ever give up. It sounds so cliche, but we were talking earlier that like sometimes I miss that intimacy with the Lord because I don't feel like I'm in the wilderness right now.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's perfect. I look like a psychotic mom 90% of the day, just trying to get kids fed, clean them up. Hey, watch out for snakes. But it's beautiful weather, but be careful. But one thing that has really helped me when I ever think I might get close to going down that negative thought path. When I was in physics, that senior year, finishing up, my professor was teaching on the graph of sine. I don't expect anyone to know what that looks like. Well, maybe everyone does, and I'm just dumb.
I don't.
No.
Okay.
You're well past me, so
Okay.
carry on.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's been a little while, but along the x-axis, the graph just hovered all along infinitively, up and down the x-axis. It's the graph of sine, and so up and down, and at that point in time, I had a stroke on the left side of my brain, so I'm really right brain thinking at this point when I'm sitting in physics class. And I just was not paying attention to sine. I was thinking of that graph is our lives. Like that is the hills and valleys of life. If I want my graph, my life, my family to hover along the x-axis, which is Christ, always. Don't ever get too high. Any victory is not really a big deal because Christ is a big deal. Don't get too high. It's hover by Christ. And then, flip side in the valleys, like don't ever lose hope. Like just get back to Christ, like that solid line. And so that's helped me I don't want to say that I don't get excited about anything. I love more than anything to just celebrate kids' birthdays, Tyler's birthday, just family, like holidays. That stuff just keeps you, that's where you should be, I think, just because God is in it. And I mean, I still got a lot of lessons to learn. So I don't know. I'm just probably naive.
That's great wisdom.
I know.
Actually.
I don't know.
I think I've heard you say like a couple of times, like, I'm not that wise. You're really wise.
Oh, no. You're so sweet.
I was thinking too, when you said thinking of visualizing a graph, the lower you are, the closer you are to the x-axis, Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's even a cool picture.
Highest,
like you don't want to be high, but
right.
Also, we don't tend to think we want to be low, but when we are low, we're closer to Christ. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? And suffering. And we've talked a lot about that on the podcast of I think suffering draws us closer to God, and there's scripture that backs all that up. But anyways, that's a cool perspective. I love that visual. Okay, so what is the biggest fear or struggle that you have?
I definitely have fears. There's probably something happened to my kids, family, like that. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like my husband has taught me this. You cannot shake him up. He's just stoic. He's a stud. He's not afraid of anything. He's killed 6 snakes in 2 hours one day, and I was like, "Are you okay?" That's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just
I could see where when you have the experience that you had, where it's fear probably just doesn't come.
It's like the gift of perspective.
Yeah, as easy as it does for. And I could be totally wrong in this, but just because your faith is where it is because of what you've been through, that your trust in the Lord may be a little bit stronger than someone like me who hasn't necessarily been through that much of a wilderness season. I mean, yes, I've had wilderness seasons.
Yeah.
Yes, I've been through it. Sure. However, as far as truly being out of control and having to surrender, and then seeing the Lord work and move and bring victory and goodness, your trust has to be probably pretty strong in Him to fear a bunch,
regular,
as much as
things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I made sense of any of that.
No, that was worded better than me, because I feel sometimes, one way for me to just laugh off struggles was I don't have the neurons. I don't have enough neurons left to use that on worry.
Yeah, that's good.
I'd rather celebrate something. And so I think it's because I went through that darkness. It's I don't even want to touch that with a 10-foot pole again. I don't want to. I'm so thankful that I wasn't raised on a ranch, but I'm grateful, and it took a long time to grow into getting to raise our family as a ranching family and to be an hour from town and 30 minutes from town because I don't have the worry of the hustle bustle. That wears me out. That drains me so bad. And, it doesn't mean, a lot of people think, oh, ranch life is so cute. Like, it's hard. Like, whoever says that, I don't know that you would enjoy it. But, like, I would love to show you around. Like, you're welcome to come over anytime. But it's a different kind of stress. But, like, it's not I got to run this errand, this errand, this errand. No, it's just a little more different task oriented.
Yeah.
But, so didn't probably answer the question again. But
no, I love it. I love it. You're doing great. So what are you reading or listening to? Do you have any spare time since you've got kiddos running around?
Yes. No, I do. I love to have that little early morning time of working out, treadmill or whatever. And I usually listen to podcasts or audiobook. Right now is Love and Respect. I don't remember who did it, but that marriage book.
Yeah.
And
it's a marriage book.
Yes.
Love and Respect.
Love it. And me and Tyler kind
of the wife is the love, like that's
I actually think I have that book in a drawer somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. It's a good one. And then the man's thing is respect and how they work.
Yeah.
That was horribly worded, but yes.
No,
that's what it's about.
That's
in a nutshell. In a nutshell. It's love and respect, obviously.
Yes. And Tyler and I are kind of listening to it separately, and I don't know, like it's fun to not say, hey, have you read this yet? It's just like, we'll just listen to it in our spare time, and it's like, oh, that's why he thought that, and just
interesting.
So it's been good. Yeah.
When those negative thoughts begin to creep back in, how do you combat that now?
Now I feel like I recognize them, and without having been through a storm before, I thought because I had a thought, I believed it. I had to think it. Now I know that, like, oh, that thought's that's a lie. Out of here. Get out. So it's like, oh, but had I not been through that horror of anxiety, I wouldn't have known, So it's like, oh, I'm so thankful I was that low, but now I know, don't believe that.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that alone is something women could be better at. I think that's just a struggle for all women.
Yeah. Which I feel like a lot of like women are just stereotypical of just like thinking so much. And I'm like, I'm so grateful. Like my brain doesn't really work that good. So I feel like I'm like half a man. I mean, not really, but like I'm just a lot slower, and like, it's just kind of nice to just, I don't know. Like I don't have a quick fast gear. And so it's good. Just a reminder to just take thoughts captive whenever you live at a slower pace. You're still busy, but just you can recognize things more. Like, don't believe that.
Yeah, that's good.
I think there's something to be said about that slower pace too.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, Christina, you want to go to the last question there?
Yeah. Do you, before we go there, is there anything else that you feel like you want to say or encourage or anything that we may have missed?
Man, I don't think so.
I mean, we touched a lot. We talked a lot, so it's okay if you don't. Just wanted to make sure.
Well, one thing that just comes to mind, I'm probably not the most wise, but is to let
she keeps saying that. I'm probably not the most wise.
No,
so darn humble.
No, I'm so not.
Listen, that's a lie.
Oh, y'all
get that out of here.
Get that out of here.
Y'all gotta hang on because I'm about to forget this.
Okay. You're great.
I remember, I don't know where it was, but to let your faith be the greatest thing about you, and that's something that's like,
okay.
I don't have a favorite band, favorite song, favorite sport, food, whatever, but man, if you don't have anything, whatever in Philippians Paul says, consider everything rubbish except for the relationship with Christ. And it's like if you have that, you literally, with God, all is possible. You can do anything, start a business, make it through a hardship, like you never know. So it's like so good.
That's
like,
encouraging.
And it's free because Jesus rose from the grave.
She said, and it's free.
God gives us that every day. So I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. What is one piece of advice that you would give the person sitting on the fence in their faith that may be listening to this?
I would just want to say, like, talk to somebody. Like, if you don't feel comfortable enough yet to pray, like, talk to somebody, and I'll give you my number. Like, let me show you the greatest way to get out of a hole, because I have been, had my teeth kicked in on a curb. It felt so low that it's like, you can get out of anything with the Lord. So just it takes a lot of faith to believe it, but if you don't have your faith in God, you're going to have to put your faith in something else, and whatever that something else is not going to work. So like, just try God.
That's
so,
good.
I don't know.
This is beautiful.
It is.
What nice scholarly.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we close out in prayer. I don't even want to close out. I want to keep talking, but
you got to get me out of here.
Like, that's it. We're done.
No, for y'all's sake.
Tell us where we can get your book.
Oh, well, if you just like send me your address, I'll send you one.
Oh, you're so sweet.
But it's on Amazon. It's probably easiest. It's on the publisher's website, Westbow Press. I think I said Barnes & Noble.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Malori Rogers, A Stroke of Heaven, and it's processing a brain injury and the events thereafter through a spiritual lens. And it's a gorgeous picture of Mallory. I'm showing the screen here.
Don't look too close.
So cute.
It is
So
cute.
go check it out. Get you a copy of this. I know it'll be encouraging. And what a gift to have you here today. We're going to close out in prayer today, and then I'll send you out with some encouragement. So go ahead, Nina.
Lord, thank you for Mallory and just this opportunity for her to share her story and the depths of it, God. God, thank you for where you met her. Thank you for the community that she was surrounded by, Lord. Lord, we ask that you just open our eyes and our listeners' eyes to the community that they're surrounded by, Lord. And is it a community that leads them to you, God, and just the goodness that you have for us within the communities around us, Lord. And so, Lord, we ask that you would just speak to the listeners who have heard Mallory's story, God, that they would hear your goodness in it, that they would hear where you never left her, Lord, that they would hear the victory that you brought into her life, God, that they would hear just the sweetness that she oozes by relationship with you, Lord, and that it would lead others straight to you, God. God, we thank you for your glory in this testimony. We thank you for meeting us where we are, God. We thank you that we can come to you in the dark thoughts and that you help us to replace those with truth. God, we, again, just thank you for this opportunity, and we ask these things today in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Okay, Mallory. So eyes up on what the Lord has for you. I'm telling you, he's opening doors for you, and it's going to be so cool to see you share his story through you. It's just beautiful. So eyes up on that, mind steady on the truth of the word of God, spirit stirring for the things he has for you and your family.
Thank you. So
Man,
much.
it's an honor to have you. It's so nice to meet
Absolutely.
you.
Oh, such an
It's a
honor
blessing.
for me. Thank y'all for what you're doing. It's powerful.
Thank you.